What it do, Dream Team? It's your boy Neal back with another reaction video. Do Germans have more freedoms than Americans? Is freedom different? I think. I don't. Do they have more freedoms? I feel like is freedom different? That's the question. I'm intrigued to hear perspective because I feel like that's the real question. Is freedom different? Before we dive in, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media, Patreon, all the time. You can subscribe to any of it, put all the links in the description. All you gotta do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Fueling, I talk back. If you guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. What we got, Haley? Let's talk about freedom.
Hi everyone, what is up? My name is Haley. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you did not know, now you do. Hey you guys, what's up? So in today's video, y'all, I'm going to finally be doing my freedom video. I talked about freedom and rights in my previous upload that was unplanned, and I will link it somewhere if you guys want to check it out. But I did post something on my community tab. It was a poll, and I asked you guys which video you would prefer seeing first. It was either this video or the gun video, and it was over 2,000 votes, and the majority of them were for freedom video. And so this video is just going to be talking about some observations I've made regarding freedom in the United States and Germany, how they are different, and my 2 cents on the matter. So with all that being said, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you want to have a discussion, you guys, you're more than welcome to down in the comment section. I'll be down there checking everything out with you guys. So for me, I personally think that each country has a redefining moment for freedom. For Germany, I feel like it's more on the after World War II timeline.
I feel that.
And a lot of stuff in Germany, milestones and stepping stones have happened during that time because it was such a monumental event and time in the country and for the world. And in the United States, we do have monumental times as well. World War II was big for us too. We had our Civil War. But I think for us, it's more continuous, I would say, because we're fighting all the time to figure out what our fundamental rights are, what our fundamental freedoms are. Germany, it's pretty grounded for the most part. And in the United States, like, we can't agree on what is a right, what is a freedom, what is not.
That's facts.
Just by the Supreme Court decision.
That is facts. That I do agree with that. I do agree with that.
What is a right, what is a freedom, what is not, just by the Supreme Court decision that was just recently, last week. And I decided to look up the definition in German and in English just to see. I assume that they would be similar because every other definition I've ever looked up, like Katze, cat, it's like a 4-legged animal, feline, with pointy ears. That's not the definition of a cat, you guys, but you get what I'm saying. They are very similar. They have very similar synonyms and antonyms, but with freedom, I thought it was interesting that there were some core differences. And so I'm going to be reading the definition of freedom in English and freedom in German. And so in English, it says that freedom is defined as the absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint in choice or action, liberation from slavery or restraint, or from the power of another, independence, bold, capitalized, underscored, the quality or state of being exempt or released, usually from something onerous. I don't know what this word is. And then freedom in German is defined as the Zustand, in dem jemand von bestimmten persönlichen oder gesellschaftlichen.
Let me read it in English real quick, and then I'll let her finish in German. I'm sorry. A state in which someone is free from certain personal or social ties or obligations perceived as coercion or burden, and no longer feels restricted in his decisions or the like. Independence. That sounds right.
Als Zwang oder Last empfundenen Bindungen.
That's kind of what that first definition.
Sich in seine Entscheidungen nicht mehr eingeschränkt fühlt. Unabhängigkeit, Ungebundenheit, which
it sounds like what that first definition on the English side of freedom was as well, but I could be wrong.
Nicht mehr eingeschränkt fühlt. Unabhängigkeit, Ungebundenheit, which directly translated, sort of similar, but like I said, there are some core differences. And I found these core differences in the synonyms. When you look up synonyms for freedom in the United States, it says autonomy, independence, liberty, self-determination, ha ha ha, joke. That is really what I just find it to be a joke and hilarious that that's in there. Self-government, sovereignty. In German, you have words like Eigenständigkeit, Eigenverantwortlichkeit, Freiheitlichkeit, and Freizügigkeit. And the biggest light bulb for me was the Eigenverantwortlichkeit. Sort of means personal responsibility. We don't have this in the English language when it comes to freedom. There's not much being said or defined regarding personal responsibility.
That's facts.
Sounds like a very individual term when you're looking at it, because you hear personal, and something personal is individualistic. But when you're applying it to the whole society or the whole country of Germany, which I feel like a lot of people do, you'll understand it's a very collective term. And so in Germany, freedoms are usually seen as things that are shared amongst everyone else, because if they're not shared equally amongst everyone else, then they can be seen as privileges. Freedoms can only be freedoms when they are equal and available and accessible for everyone. The difference in the United States is that we place a lot of emphasis on I, me, my, and mine. I have my rights, I have my freedoms, and we directly correlate that to something that is very personal and individual to us.
That's facts. She has not told a lie yet. I have not heard one lie. Oh yeah, she did her research on this. She's spot on right now.
And we directly correlate that to something that is very personal and individual to us. Not really taking into, mind, that we are a nation, we are a country, and there are 300 plus other million people with us that have the same, rights and freedoms, or will be afforded the same rights and freedoms as us. A good example, in my opinion, for this, it might not be a good example for you, is voting. Voting is seen as a right and freedom in Germany and the United States, but when you look at the percentages of people that actually show up to vote, in Germany, I believe it sits at around almost 80%, upwards of almost 90% in some years. In the United States, we sit at around 50 to 60%, which is relatively low. And I always wonder to myself, why? I mean, aside from the issues that we face when it comes to voting, I made a video about this, you guys, and I think freedom is one of the main reasons why there's such a big discrepancy of voter turnout being so low in the United States when comparing it to Germany, because a lot of people, they will say, well, it is my choice, it is my freedom, my right to vote, but I don't necessarily have to vote. I choose not to do that. It's over. It's a very individual, selfish decision. And in Germany, a lot of people realize that it is their social responsibility to vote, to put people in charge, to make the best decisions for their country. Eliminating the issue.
That is a different freedom, because I don't think you should be forced to vote. I don't think you should be forced. So I do believe you have the right to choose whether you want to vote or not. But I like that Germany takes it as a social responsibility, as like a personal responsibility for the betterment of the nation to go vote. I do like the aspect. I do like that. But I also feel like choosing not to vote is your freedom, and like she said, it is kind of selfish. It's freedom, but it is selfish. So it is different. This one's good. This
to vote, to put people in charge, to make the best decisions for their country. Eliminating the issues that people, the hurdles they have to jump to be able to vote, or the feeling that they are helpless and not being able to vote. Something totally different. I know people that just choose not to vote because they didn't want to go on the day. They would rather go do something else, or they had something else planned and it's not important to them. And when you start digging a little bit deeper than the surface level, you start realizing that in Germany, you have a very collective society. Still, there are individualistic, selfish tendencies, but as a whole, it's a very collectivist society. And in the United States, we're a very individualistic society. We talk about the Constitution, we talk about freedoms, we talk about rights in the United States and how those are so important to our, underline of who we are as a society. But When society is constantly pushing out that it's every man for themselves, or a dog eat dog world, or you have to push for yourself, you have to fight for yourself, no one's going to take care of you, no one's going to help you, it's only you for you, it doesn't match. Freedom and rights and, you know, everyone being equal and everyone being afforded the same things with that type of societal mindset does not work. And so granted, does Germany have its flaws and its ticks where maybe sometimes it could be a little too collectivist, in my humble opinion? Yes, but it's also nice knowing that I live in a country where people are willing a little bit to inconvenience themselves for the greater good of society. And I could not say, or I cannot say, the same thing for the United States. But I want to talk about something that was a phenomenon in my comment section. It was mostly under my gun video. And it was how Americans always pointed out they have less, so we have more, if that made sense. Or our freedoms are more because they have less. You see Germany not having any guns, or everybody doesn't have the freedom like we do to own a gun in the United States, so our freedoms must be better. And, you know, maybe many years ago I used to think like this as well, but slowly, surely over time, you know, freedom for me is not something as trivial as owning a gun. It's being able to go out into society and not worry if a crazy person is going to shoot me. But the next thing I want to talk about is capitalism and how straight, you know, pro-capitalism does not promote freedoms or rights.
I like the way she's explaining this. Because I'm sitting here, as she's talking, like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm having my own thoughts. But I like the way she's explaining it. In the nature, I feel like the U.S. is more dog eat dog world, more every man for themselves, more like. But when I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, dang, that is bad, but that can be good. I don't know. And I don't know if it's just the American mentality that's instilled in me. Because it's like, I guess in a sense of, it's good when it's like if two people are capable of doing the same amount of work, and one person does a lot less and one person does a lot more, then that person that does a lot more should have a lot more. You feel me? And so that's where I think it's good at, but in a sense of where maybe somebody's not capable of doing as much as another person due to health reasons, due to, you know what I'm saying? Something that's wrong with them. Should they have less because they're not able, because they're not capable? So that's where I'm like, it's backfires, and that's when I think it should be a group mentality, a collective mentality. And so it's like, I can see the pros and cons of being individualistic. And you have to decide whether the pros outweigh the cons or the cons outweigh the pros. And with being collective, like she said, sometimes you're not gonna like it. Sometimes you're not gonna agree with it. But as a whole, she feels it's a lot better than the society of me, myself. I'm looking out for myself. I gotta make it. It's about me. I got my freedoms. I got my rights. And so, I don't know. This one just got me thinking, guys. I'm sorry. We gonna listen to Haley again. She's spot on with these explanations.
You know, pro-capitalism does not promote freedoms or rights, nor does it promote equality in any way, shape, or form. And like I said, if we're not promoting equality when it comes to freedoms and rights, then we are getting into privileges that are not afforded to everyone. Capitalism in the United States has caused boundaries and restraints on our freedoms and rights, which is pretty funny because a lot of Americans will use capitalism as the pillar of freedom, making money, earning money. But the hilarious thing is that it's a counterproductive idea when it comes to freedom. But I'm not necessarily saying that capitalism is the worst thing.
Now you gotta have some capitalism. I feel like to go progress as a society, there has to be some. But like it's like anything in life. If you have an excess amount, that's when it can be bad for you.
Not necessarily saying that capitalism is the worst thing, but when it contradicts your foundation of freedom and rights for your citizens, then it is a bad thing. Something that was very interesting for me when I first came to Germany was when I was watching the news and I was having to navigate and decipher whether or not the news was biased, if it was propaganda, if it was very right-leaning, very left-leaning. I had to make sure that I was getting information that was relatively neutral for the most part, because in the United States we have all these news outlets, and granted there are neutral news outlets, but we had so many and still do have so many news outlets where information is so skewed. And that's because they're very private, money-making, capitalism, organizations, companies pushing to win ads, to win money. And so even our information, our freedom to information, our freedom to access information, to have access to information that is not biased, is tainted in the United States. And the highest bidder wins. The monetarily correct wins, not the politically correct, not the morally correct, not the, factually correct. None of those things win. And that trickles down into other areas of living in the United States or life.
Bro, she's so spot on. And it comes to the belief, of course, where it's profit over people. It's like money is definitely the most important thing here. Is money. Bro, she's preaching right now, guys. She's literally
those
preaching.
Things win, and that trickles down into other areas of living in the United States or life in the United States. We have the freedom to choose what we want to eat in the United States, but it's tainted by capitalism, putting a McDonald's on every single corner and adding sugar to every freaking meal that we eat, and then having the fast food industry, the sugar industry, and any type of unhealthy eating industry lobbying against certain laws and regulations for healthy food. We have the freedom to walk, bike, take trains, drive cars to any destination in the United States, but it's tainted by capitalism, allowing the automotive industry to crush anything that might include a better, more inclusive infrastructure. We have the freedom to get sick, but capitalism allows our employers not to pay us when we're sick. We have the freedom to get pregnant in the United States, but capitalism allows no one to give us paid maternity leave. And this isn't to say that Germany is perfect, because it is not. But there is a line that is morally, like I said, factually, politically correct, societally correct, that should not be crossed, as to not harm people in the process of exercising their freedoms. And I know that for some people, the freedom to get sick isn't really a freedom. The freedom to get pregnant isn't really a freedom. That's a different video for a different time. But these things are rights and freedoms afforded to us as individuals and people. And I just think to myself, if we can't even protect something as simple as getting pregnant or being sick, what are we doing? We don't really have freedoms then. And all of this to say, how are they different? In Germany, it's seen as a personal responsibility to be able to have freedoms and rights. And in the United States, it's more something that has been granted to us by the Constitution, by Sky Daddy. If you don't know who Sky Daddy is, God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. We see it as something that has been granted to us because we are the blessed Americans of the world, United States citizens of the world. I don't know, we've been handpicked by God to have these unlimited rights and these unlimited freedoms granted to us. Our freedoms and our rights have little to do with responsibility and have little to do with others. We don't think of others when it comes to our freedoms. We think of ourselves. I sort of look at it as like a rowboat or a rowing race. I don't know anything about rowing, you guys, but in Germany, let's say you have a rowboat, 6 people. In that rowboat, you have 6 people that have different fitness levels. You have rows that are broken. You have rows that are better performing faster than others. You have people that have nicer suits on. You have people that don't have nicer suits on. And at the end of the day, you're all working together. It may not be perfect, but you're working towards the finish line. That's your team. Stuck with them. In the United States, you have people, they're like, I don't want to be on the team with that person. Well, I want that seat. That's a nicer seat. I want that row. It's a nicer row. I'm not fit, so I don't want to work that much. I want to stand outside. I don't want to be in the boat with those people. And it's a race. It's not necessarily a race against Germany and the United States. It's a race to see who can get to the finish line. Spoiler alert, United States isn't going to get to the finish line because we're too busy trying to figure out who's better, who deserves more than the other person when we're in the same damn boat together. You are only focusing your
that.
freedoms
I
and your
feel
rights
that.
on making your life better for yourself and not really thinking about making your country better for
That's
yourself and for
facts.
other people and the collective good. You're not free. You're not doing the right thing. You're being selfish. But yeah, I'm gonna cut it off there, you guys, because this video is getting long and I'm starting to rant, and I don't want to do that. But I do have to say, when comparing the United States and Germany, the main thing is that in Germany, it's a more wholesome, collective approach to freedom. In the
Yeah.
United States, more selfish, more individual. And the thing is, I'd much
Facts.
rather have 80 plus million people standing behind me, having my back, than working against 300 plus million people to try to put myself at the top. That's something that just sounds dreadful to me and for me. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, you guys. Love y'all. Have a wonderful day, and bye.
That was a really good video, guys. That one, shout out Haley Alexis for giving her thoughts and her perspective on this. I really think that was absolutely incredible. Just watching it, just listening, and just forming my own thoughts. Yes, I believe both countries are free. It's just complete different forms of freedom. Like she said, where here it's more of an individualistic type freedom. Over there, it's more of a collective type freedom. So it's over here, it's like you're free, but like. Realize that your freedom is in your hands, and what you do with your freedom is on you. So if you decide to do this, then you gotta face the consequences. If this happens to you, you gotta face the consequences. Whereas Germany, it's like if this you're completely free, but like we are gonna do stuff, I guess, as like a collective. Know what I'm saying? And so it's a different type of freedom. It's like we are focused on the greater good, so anybody who opposes it will like basically falls in the minority of people, because they're focused on the greater good of everyone and not just one. You feel me? Not every individual, but the country as a whole. You're focused on the freedom of the country as a whole and not every individual. Whereas US, I feel like it's more about every individual and every. It's crazy. I can't word it like Haley. I'm sorry. I absolutely love that video. I think that video was just absolutely incredible, and the way she explained everything was absolutely phenomenal. And you have to decide which freedom you want. Know what I'm saying? Because they are two different freedoms. That's all we got for this one. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, give the video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media and Patreon are all up top. You can subscribe to any of it. Put all the links in the description. All you gotta do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Love talking to you guys. You guys are the most incredible team on YouTube. It's your boy Neal. Out.